U-turn is a concept where you come home to yourself, you get really honest about things that aren't working, and instead
Mhm.
of letting them bubble back down, you actually make a change. And I think we all have different moments that become U-turns, and sometimes they look like destruction, and it's why people avoid them because change isn't always pretty, even though it's crucial, right? So my business and career coaching did really well, and after 5 years of private practice, helping people with job searching, I started to get enough understanding of how many different careers were out there. I'd helped everybody from celebrities that didn't want to make movies anymore to everyday assistants and marketing managers and lawyers. So that got me into clarity, like really helping
Mm.
people figure out their skill set, their zone of genius. So 5 years into that, that became a focus. I created online courses. And then I got my book deal, which had a lot to do with my TEDx talk. The publisher really liked that I had that. And I think I got a bigger book deal because of it, which is really
Mm.
wonderful. But um, yeah, I ended up writing U-Turn because I realized the core message of that book is really don't do what you love, do what you are. The book
Mm.
is really about your passions are interesting, but your skill set is more important for your career. And I think too many people are asking the wrong questions in their career. They're asking, what am I passionate about versus where are my gifts? And then what am I passionate about?
Yeah, 'cause we could be passionate about a lot of things that we're not good at.
Exactly. There's a big difference between being a happy consumer of something and
Mhm.
a talented producer of that thing, right? Like I love
Mm.
cupcakes, happily eat them, love fashion, love politics, not meant to be a baker, not meant to be a, politician,
Not
not
running for office anytime soon.
not running for office. Yeah.
I would not, yeah.
Yeah.
And so in, what do you think, when you say bring your people to their zone of genius?
Yeah.
I love what that you said about, like, being really, clear on who you are. Um, what do you think the biggest mistake people make when, like, you talked about, like, looking at what they're good at, but
Yeah.
how do they find their zone of genius? How do they, begin that process? And
I'm so
maybe
yeah.
just even knowing that they're not happy with what they're doing or feeling that
Yeah.
discontent or
I think that there's 3 lily pads in the career world, and I don't write about this in my book. It's just reflections I had after writing the book. I think the first lily pad is people who feel fine. They feel like this is just fine. I'm making money. I'm supporting myself. It's fine. Actually, I do think it's fine to be fine. I think in the personal development round, people kind of put shame in fine, like, oh, if you're fine, you're not in touch with your pain. Well, yeah, for some people, but for a lot of people, it's okay if life is fine and you feel fine. You don't have to be better. You don't
Mhm,
have to be more. I think a lot of the work in self development is sometimes self acceptance and not self improvement.
mhm.
But I think that's the first lily pad, and I don't mess with those people. I respect that where they're at. The second
Like,
lily
now you should be doing more, you should be something
exactly.
you're passionate about, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, "You're good," if that's what you wanna do, you do it. The second lily pad is people working in their zone of genius. That's what I'm really into. So the U-Turn
Mhm,
book is really geared to help people swim from the first one to the second one, only for the people who are interested. And that
mhm,
swim could take 2 or 3 years. It could take time because it's experimental. I think if you don't know what you wanna be doing, the first order of business is to get reconnected to yourself. Too many people are grabbing onto new plans, and they think they're moving their lives forward, but they're actually moving their lives backward, right? Like, I have a lot of friends, they get married and they tell me, "Oh, I don't know if this is the right guy." I'm like, "Don't do this." Like, "Well, I wanna have kids." Well, you're actually moving your life backwards because now you're gonna have to undo this whole thing because who you are always wins, and eventually the
mhm,
truth of you is gonna rear out. So just listen
mhm.
to it now and actually move forward, right? So I advise people who are swimming from lily pad 1 to their zone of genius on lily pad 2 to is it's not about being lackadaisical, but it is about being experimental. And what experimentation looks like is number 1, getting grounded. Ask yourself, who are the people, places, things that make you feel like you? Because it's really hard to make decisions from your best self when you're not in tune with you. And when you're feeling
Yes.
off, you're just off. You need to come
Mm,
back, right? U-turn. That's like a micro U-turn, right? So I think that looks like for me, it's the beach. Like there's something about the sand in my feet that I just feel like myself. And
mhm.
there's just so much value there. And so I would say I make a point when I'm feeling off to go more often, bring my journal. There's certain friends. I have a lot of girlfriends. There's 2 or 3 that really can hold the space to help me get
Mm.
back to me. They have
So
a
it's
gift.
all about, yeah, it's the people that, well, I think what you're talking about, in my work as a Jungian coach, the whole the idea of the persona,
Yeah.
and you're in this, like, zone and you wanna, like, go to something else, and but you're still acting from the ego, that persona, not really who you are, and you're just that persona is, like, what other people expect of you and what the world expects of you, and you've been conditioned to think is possible. And then we get caught up, but well, I got a degree in law, so I should continue that because it makes sense. And what you're saying is like we have to look beneath that and really find out what truly makes us happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that people want people don't really understand, and I feel like there's some ego in me even saying that, but like I don't think people understand how much life is transition. We are always in transition. I think it's more
Hmm.
constant than anything, right?
It's a verb.
It's a verb
It's not
transition.
a noun.
Yeah, transition is a verb, just like love. It's like
Hmm.
we are living in it and people don't want to be in it, but they don't even realize it's actually the truth of our human experience. So,
Hmm.
how can we be in it with elegance? Here's the deal. It took me 3 years of burnout to have an elegant idea, such as Wise Whisper Agency. And now we've booked over 100 people on stage at this point. It's like, and what's so magical is that our booking team, sometimes it takes 6 weeks to book somebody, somebody takes 2 years. We don't stop until we get the person booked. And it's just been so, and I would have never thought I'm doing this, right? But this idea came through, and it came through over time because I was telling all my career coaching clients, you've got to do one of these TED Talks. And I would refer them to this booker after, I'd say use however many sessions you want with me. We'll talk about your career. We'll talk about, but use a couple sessions at least with me on this TED Talk. And they would say, okay, they would trust me. And then I would refer them to the booker. After 2 years of seeing the booker get them booked on stage, that gave me the confidence to turn it into a one-stop shop, right?
Yeah, and that's what I loved about what you offer is that because I was looking and there were some coaches that help you with your speech, and there's people that help you with your stage presence, and there's people that help you get booked only, and you like really it was like that one-stop shop, which is really really cool because you're taken care of through the whole process.
Because it's interesting though. It's like that was the lily pad, right? Like I knew my zone
Mhm.
of genius was words. I intimately understood the TEDx stage. I already went on speaking tours. I'm already an author who wrote books, but I felt complete in my private practice with coaching people
Mhm.
in my career. And I understood psychology intimately. I felt like the perfect person to be doing what I'm doing now with my agency. But it took 4 years for that of swimming from one lily
Mhm.
pad to the next, right? Because that's the thing with life, right? It's like you're either in creation or you're in maintenance or you're in some form of destruction. And then you move back over to creation again, right? So I think for me, those three lily pads are circular. And so that first lily pad of being fine, I kind of made it back there after spending years in my zone of genius with career coaching. And then it took me 4 years to swim back over to my zone of genius with words and have my
Mhm.
TEDx agency. The third lily pad that takes time, and kind of going back to what we were saying, it's like just keep on being in the experiment. And engagement looks like many things, right? Because that's what brings you clarity. Sometimes you can't just think your way into clarity all the time.
Mhm.
That means going to those places that feel good, spending time with the people that feel good. It feels good to feel good. And when you feel like it becomes discernment becomes easier. It becomes easier to say yes or no to things because you start to feel good. You're not just numb, right?
Mhm.
The second thing is having
Or
conversations.
in pain and looking to like look for something to grasp it to escape something. And I
Yeah.
see a lot of people like, I hate my job, so I'm just going to do something else. And
Yeah.
it's not really right because they're not clear. They're just kind of moving from one pain point to another like grasping at something.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
what you said is like you have to be yourself, like connect again with you to have that clarity before. But I think there's still always a testing ground, like testing different things and being willing to choose the wrong thing
Yeah.
and choose again because
Yeah.
it's nothing solid. Like no decision lasts forever. You can always decide again.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.